Hello, and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I'm Dr. Katrina Adkins with SHI, and today I have the pleasure of talking with Daren Hubbard, Vice President of Information Technology and Chief Information Officer for Georgia Tech. Good morning, Daren. How are you?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you today?
I am wonderful. Thank you. It's wonderful to be here with you, and I'm anxious to learn more about you. Because I was doing a little bit of research and was wondering about the relationship or the difference or how they work together between data excellence and digital excellence. What's the difference between those?
Sure. So I think there's some integration between those two, digital excellence and I guess sometimes you can even refer to that as digital transformation and data excellence. I think that core thing that is related that they share is the fact that data drives both of them. You know, you can't have a successful digital excellence or digital transformation experience without your data being fed into that ecosystem successfully, cleanly, with high value and highly structured and appropriate data for whatever the process is that you're either digitizing from an existing process or creating new to enable some type of new capability. And so I think as they share that data and the use of data and the value of data, where they differ though is that data excellence typically is always going to be sort of an element that gets fed into something else, whereas the digital excellence piece tends to sit closer to the front end and closer to where folks are actually performing some type of work or some process is actually being either experienced or participated in or literally being developed to move some body of request into a solution and then delivery. And so when we think of the digital excellence perspective, it is about what does that overall experience need and what is the solution that we are trying to bring to the table to either solve a problem or to minimize or eliminate friction in an existing process. Data excellence really does set up the foundational work so that those digital excellence activities can proceed and can be successful. So you have to have good data feeding into those digital excellence experiences so that people can trust that what they see when they go to either reserve a room or pay their bill or whatever the transaction that they may be trying to attempt. In order to have some confidence in that, we have to put in the work on the data side to make sure that they're getting the right data and that the data is appropriate for them and their level of access that they have or for whatever it is that they're trying to perform. So they are related, but they do have some specific end goals that they're trying to achieve. One of which is kind of slightly under the surface, and the other really at the surface and really impacting the end user's experience on a major level.
Thank you so much. Out of curiosity, how does this impact faculty and staff on campus?
Sure, it does have lots of impact. And we've been very, I think, intentional about creating opportunity for faculty and staff to both participate in what we're doing, but also to hear what their concerns are and what their needs are to make sure that the initiative actually addresses those things head on. For example, a lot of times institutions will kind of go down this data excellence process and this pathway and really kind of just focus on administrative data. While that's important and while it is very necessary to make sure that you're able to, be able to have reporting and sort of dashboards that are created so that people can get a up to the minute sort of read on where the institution is how it's performing from an administrative standpoint. It's also important to be able to support your faculty, whether it be in their research initiatives, so being able to help them with designing a data infrastructure for the research that they are either performing or that they need to actually have access to do their research. And then also in their role as instructors and sort of in the education sphere, you want to be able to provide them data to be able to monitor student performance and to have some level of insight to see and to validate that the educational outcomes that they're really focused on providing are actually being met and achieved by the students. From a staff perspective, everyone is a lot better at doing their job if they can actually have some level of sight into when they do something, what is the impact that that has. And so being able to provide good reporting for all of our staff people who are responsible for maintaining, sort of the either financial or just administrative integrity of our institution, being able to have good data and good tools for them to be able to slice and dice or do some make some pro forma judgments out into the future and do some forecasting is always important. And it allows them to be their best and to operate at their highest levels. And so we try to make sure that we are trying to provide some level of tool and some level of support for all of our constituents, which is why we brought together all those folks to participate in our program to make sure that we were going to be addressing them holistically and not as an afterthought.
Fantastic. And obviously that trickles down to the students, which is of utmost importance. So that's fantastic. So I see that you are an extremely busy person, and I just saw that you were interviewed for a podcast on EdScoop on the same topic. So how do you foresee data excellence, that initiative that you're working on, how do you see it improving overall operations at Georgia Tech?
It's already actually having an impact in our operations. I mean, our ability really just to be able to respond to those day-to-day administrative needs has just already been improving. The more investments that we make, both in the infrastructure, and then also, I think, equally important, the investments we make in governance will allow us to fine-tune our processes and really make sure that people are getting the right information to make informed decisions about our future directions and how we respond to whether it be a crisis or just a change in the marketplace, whatever that may be. You need to be able to see kind of where you've been to help chart out where you need to go. And data and the data tools that we've been supporting and building all play a part in that. And so we really feel that the people refer to the 20th century as the information century or the information age. And we think that this next chunk of the 21st century that we've been in is really going to be about data and how well we can use it. And the organizations that really look at it and value it as an asset, as a true driver of whatever that organization is, whether it be a nonprofit, manufacturing, higher education institution, whatever it may be, being able to understand the data that is generated and use that data and leverage it to make good insights and provide good insights for where you should go in your near and medium and long-term direction, I think is going to what separates out successful organizations from those who maybe have some hiccups and sputter a little bit. And so we've been trying to focus our attention on making sure that our leaders, our faculty, and our students have access to both the tools, but also data that they can trust, and so that there's a single source of that truth and that information, so that folks can make good decisions. And so yeah, it's been exciting, and I think there's still a lot more that we have to do for sure. But so far, I think we're headed in the right direction.
Fantastic. And so I'm wondering, do you involve the community at all? Community, maybe businesses at all in any of this data?
We do. So we just had our inaugural data days week. It's basically a mini conference. We hope to grow it to be something that is larger and has opportunity for more community members to join in. But we were able to have folks from around our campus and some of our vendors participate. We had several days with different focused topics like sort of the value of data, the experience, and then did some training sessions, and then had some keynotes to kind of top it off to really talk about the future. And so we see that as a growing opportunity to really expand the footprint and expand access to other folks in the community who may want to hear about things that we're doing on our campus, but also maybe hear from some vendors, hear from some faculty members who are doing some specialized research in their creative uses of data, to really kind of broaden the scope and really bring in more voices so that we can have sort of greater learning and greater sharing. Because part of, again, as I shared before, part of the strategy with this data excellence is to have a very solid and growing community of practice. And that's going to be an internal thing in terms of, folks inside of Georgia Tech, but we also want to make sure that we are communicating and really sharing ideas and knowledge and maybe even exchanging some learning with folks in the broader community as well. So, look forward to being able to expand and invite as many people in as we can over time.
I love how you've involved the entire community, even outside of Georgia Tech as well. So that's fantastic. Thank you, Daren, for joining me today. Please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews.